Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Creators Anonymous, the podcast that shows the faces behind the scenes, behind the cameras, and behind the mixers and soundboards. Um, Today we are joined by Joey Sarson. I've been a longtime fan of his. He is a YouTube producer. He's grossed over 2 billion channel views across the platforms and channels that he's worked with and assisted and worked alongside. Has a music video out, which we'll go deeper in a little later. And Joey, how are you doing today?
I'm great. I was hoping you'd throw in White Rapper in that intro, so that's perfect.
I didn't want to get too specific, we'll go into
Yeah.
your music career in a little
Oh,
bit.
perfect. Yeah, I was
So
about to say, yeah, 2 billion YouTube views. That's cool and all, but I rap, right?
yeah,
It's like
what's more
yeah,
impressive than 2 billion views? My rap career.
the rap
My,
career, of
my
course.
rap career, the video featuring ODB.
Yeah. The late great. I didn't even have to have him sign off. He told me, from beyond the grave that he was super cool with it. Like, so it was all good.
Yeah, I heard it was he did a pro bono as well, no feature cost or anything.
Yeah, no, it was actually pretty dirt cheap.
Yeah,
So
pretty
old
impressive.
dirt dog was pretty dirt cheap. So
So,
that's
Joey,
great.
I
Yeah.
first came into being acquainted with you guys, the little trifecta you guys have, JC, Paul, and you, through the
Yeah.
Dudesons channel. And the Dudesons channel, I know it started up in 2015. When did you start on the channel?
Actually, this is actually really cool lore here for you. So I was actually there before Paul or JC, like way before, because I worked on that movie with Batali in Roman Atwood called Natural Born Pranksters,
Yes.
and Yuka. He went to the premiere of that movie, and so at that movie, it was me and my boss, who was a producer at the time. He was like big time, big time for me at least at the time, producer, and I was his assistant. So I was the associate producer, and so we put that movie out after all this hard work, and then Yuka came and he was like, "Dude, I'm moving to America. Like, let's make some content to my producer boss." And so he brought me on as like a PA kind of for the Dudesons. So if you watch really old ass episodes of the Dudesons or the Dudesons vlogs, I forget which channel. I think it was both of the channels. You could see me in the background blowing up balloons and stuff, like all like crazy, like just old stuff. Just all in the background. This is like way before Paul and JC got there. And I found out that our editors were kind of ass at the time. So I was like, dude, JC and Paul are the best editors like I know. So and then we ended up all being editors. They actually taught me how to edit. Now I edit all the time for my fiance. But yeah, but essentially, yeah, I came in through that movie, and then with my old producer got let go or changed jobs. He had some other thing going on, so then I stayed and I brought on Paul and JC, and the rest was history, man. And then as soon as they found out they could torture us on camera, and we had fun with it, it was like we just did it every day. So it was great times, man. I don't regret a second of it. Love it.
Yeah, no, man. I had a lot of good times, watching the videos. And yeah, it's hard to come by, several people who are just pretty much okay with doing the craziest shit. So they
Yeah,
found you guys and they were like, okay, let's mace them, throw them off of the garage roof, chase them down.
bro,
So
it's crazy. The alligator and everything, like it's so many crazy things that we did, and yeah, and it was just so great, like meeting Yuka and everybody, and we're all still friends, and it's good stuff, and just to be super real, man, I don't see a lot of YouTubers doing that kind of stuff at all anymore. They've gotten soft, because I work with like the younger people now, and they wouldn't do half the shit we did, like
bro,
any of
let
it.
me let me tell you how that's actually such a good point because
Yeah,
it's so I feel like there's a void right now. Everything's either faked or people are just too scared to do. Paul got bit by a gator. Like he
yeah,
let the gator bite him. They did
yeah.
I don't know if I don't remember if particularly you did or if it was Paul or JC. You guys did the thumbtack trick, the Dudeson's like classic thumbtack thing where they
Oh
throw the
yeah.
thumbtacks on the trampoline and just land on it. No one's doing that. Like no one
No,
is out there doing that.
You know what? I did not do that. That is one that I pushed out on. But here's the thing: it was like me, Paul, or JC. It had to be one of us had to do it, right? And then me and JC were like, hey, you know what? Maybe we do it. And I'm bigger than JC and Paul, right? Like I'm bigger guy, so I'm like, bro, like, so maybe it'll be better if I do it because it won't hit anything vital. It'll just be in my fat and stuff. So like we had this whole conversation about like who's gonna do it, right? JC was
Yes.
really not about it. And I was kind of like, look, I guess I'd do it if it was like if it had to be one of us. But Paul was like, I want to fucking do it. And we're like, all right, that
Yeah.
settles that, dude.
Hey, if you
Yeah,
volunteer, I don't see the issue.
dude, exact. So Paul volunteered and he was the one that ended up doing it. And that was just so crazy because it's like, I mean, bro, like that stuff is nuts. And then what was I gonna say about that? Yeah, because it's like every day you'd walk into work and not really know like what's gonna happen, right? So some days you're like fuck me up, and then some days you're just like like I'm still beat up from yesterday, or like this particular thing is not something I enjoy. Like for example, one time we filled a baby pool up with dry ice and water, and it was like a really cold day,
Oh
and
no.
I I swear to God, I did not want to do it. It was like one of the only times out of any of the challenges, like anything we ever did, that I was like, I really can't do it. Like, I'm like, there's just something in me. It was just like, it was a shitty day. I think I like broke up with my girlfriend at the time or something. Like, I was having a really bad day. And I was like, I can't do this. I just can't. And then Yarno actually talked me into it. He was like, he's like, Joey, like, it's like, it builds character and like all that, to
It
finish that
sounds
sentence.
like it sounds like him.
Yeah, yeah. And so he just like convinced me to do it, and then afterwards I felt so good. I was like, I can't believe I like conquered that. And it was yeah. So it was just there's some days are easier than others for sure over there, man. Good
Yeah, no.
times, dude. I miss
I
all those days. I think about it every day.
I can't imagine the amount of fun it was to actually like go to work, or like the amount of fear that's produced before going into work.
Yeah.
You ever have like a long night and then you show up like hungover, and
Oh, yeah. Oh, there was a
you guys
lot of
just do the
drinking in those
worst.
days. There was a lot of drinking in those days, but shockingly, never on camera. Like we would always drink like afterwards and like stay up really late, but we would never like do it like while we were present, which was looking back is actually kind of weird that we never did. But yeah, man, it was like a party like all the time. We would hang out that house super late and just like kind of fuck around, and we really were like really good friends and had a good time. Like all that was like, and that's why the content turned out so good because it was really genuine. Like we weren't faking. Like we really like came to work scared, and left smiling. Like wow, I can't believe I lived through another day, and
No, and
it was
it came through. It came through though. Like you could feel it. You were able to genuinely feel like there was a friendship there. When you watch people and they try to like they have channels with like a couple other people, but you know that deep down they don't get along, and it just kind of makes it less
yeah,
enjoyable. Like you kind of wish that they were actually buds in real life and what they portrayed on the channel. But with you guys, like I genuinely felt
yeah.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah, no.
and you're so right. There's places where you turn the camera off and then they just go their other ways. It's like they're not really friends. But Paul, JC, and I, we were friends before. We're still friends now. We're tight. And then Yuka moved to Finland, so it is harder to see him. But he's still really tight. We like each other's stuff. We shared a few Instagram reels recently of some of our old videos just to see like how they perform. Like, hey, yeah, this is from 2016, 2017, but let's just see, how it does on Instagram, just reposting it. And I got my Instagram up, but like, damn, bro, that one of the makeup gun where we did the makeup gun on JC of the Simpsons video, it has like
Yeah.
9 million views on Instagram.
Jesus.
I
Okay.
know. So it's like there's still a demand for this type of like just dumb crap, which is great.
That's what I'm saying. The void. There's a void of it, and like it's just creating this vacuum that people just want to consume this content. Like personally, I was a Jackass kid. I started out with
Oh hell yeah.
yeah, which with watching Jackass, and I was obsessed with it. And then through Jackass, I was introduced to the Dudesons because they did like a little crossover where they had Yarno and Yuka on the show. And
Yeah, I
then
remember that. Yeah.
I just started consuming all the Dudesons content. Um, and then I found, well, then there was like a gap, but then I found the actual like Deucen's vlog channel, and I just
Yeah.
became like instantly hooked. And I was like,
Oh,
this is
that's
what I'm
awesome.
missing. Like I love this sort of content. It's all good vibes too. It's like
Yeah.
everything is good vibes, but let's do some crazy shit. And like I was obsessed. I was obsessed with that type of vibe.
Yeah. I'm so glad you loved it, man, because it was hard for us at times to kind of like get to know the fan base because it's like we were so busy. Like, I shit you not, like every day, it's like, we had to shoot, edit, come up with the videos and get everything together, like all the props and everything. So we'd be getting there at like 7 a.m., like setting up something that we would eventually get tortured in later. It's like digging your own grave every day in a way. It's like, all right, the alligator guy's gonna be here in an hour. It's like, can't wait to get fucked up.
Yeah,
It
were
was
you guys the ones that made the call for like, hey, can we get an alligator over here? So it's
yeah,
like no,
we did a lot of, it was so crazy because like, now I'm like pretty much exclusively a producer, but I edit for, some people. Whereas JC is like mainly an editor now and also a musician with Paul, and
yeah,
Paul is now like an editor. So like we all kind of defined our roles, but back then we all did everything. Like Paul and JC were always better editors than me. But in a way, I was kind of better producer. So like I would make a lot of the calls and kind of gather a lot of the props and the kiddie pools and like all the dumb crap. And then they would be editing, right? And then so whenever they needed a break, I would jump in and do my best at editing. And they taught me how to edit actually during that time. So it was like years of learning how to edit from them. And they're like the best editors. So it was really good practice. So we all kind of just did whatever made sense. Like if I was too hungover to do something, or like I couldn't drive or something at the time, it's like Paul would handle it, or Jay. It was real team effort to make like every single video happen. It was
I
it
love
was a
that.
lot.
It sounds like the
Yeah,
Wild West, honestly. It just sounds like a
yeah.
circus in all the best ways, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And you guys
It really
met
was.
in Full Sail, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I met actually. This is funny. I met JC because I was a fan of his music. He did this one music video with Nelson, who was a friend of ours, who was his old bandmate in a band called Not Them, and they did a music video where it was like in a Star Wars cantina, and it was really cool. And being a white rapper, I love seeing other white rappers, even though he's
Yes.
like Panamanian or something. I was like, but I was just like, this is so cool. I was like, I got to go to one of these guys' shows. And we had a mutual friend named Aaron, who is now he now sets up tours for like Kim Petras and like actual big artists. So it's cool to see him living his dream. And so he introduced me to JC, and I went to his show as a fan, but then like we kind of had some beers afterwards, and now look at us. It's
Yeah.
like we've been friends ever since. So but yeah, no, that was a good question. Yeah, we go way back. I actually never met Paul in Orlando. I met him right after I moved to LA. So it was probably like JC was like, I swear you're gonna love Paul. You're gonna love Paul. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know this guy, but I'll give him a chance. And now it's like, his picture's on my fridge. So it's like, yeah,
I
so I love Paul.
I know
You know.
when I was doing the episode with Paul, he was going ahead and letting me know how he got into the Dudesons, where I think JC went on vacation and they needed someone to sub in. He got recommended and then he just like never left. Like he stayed.
Yeah.
Like he was telling me that he ended up JC came back, he ends up speaking to oh his name slips my mind, but whoever was in charge of accounting, and then
Oh,
he was
Al.
Al, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So
Yeah. Al's great.
he ends up
Yeah.
talking to him, and then he was like, yeah, did they tell you to leave? And then he's like, no. Okay. Just stay.
Yeah. Great. That's so funny. Yeah,
Best
that's
hiring
exactly what
process.
happened.
Yeah.
And then Paul, and JC. I mean, me and JC were such, we're always conniving. It's like we got to get Paul in here. We got to get Paul in here. And so it was. So yeah, I guess the opportunities. And just to be real, I don't remember exactly when it happened because for me, the time when it was just me and JC, or even just me before Paul, was very limited. It was probably only like 2 months or 3 months went by without all three of us together. So it was a short time, but yeah, so great, man.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. Do you ever work with the Dudesons in any way recently? I know you said the reels, you guys reposted some reels, but I know they have
Yeah.
their studio. What is it, like Rabbit Films?
Oh, Rabbit Films. Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
out in Finland, actually. So that's
Hmm.
I know that JC and Paul went to Finland. They were actually a little bit more involved in the operations than I was when they got. So that's why it was like they went to Peru to do that show. Remember the Ultimate Expedition? You remember
Yes.
that whole thing?
Yes.
So Paul and JC ended up going to that, and then really took to like kind of being in more of a power position, I guess, at the company. So they went to Finland and they did the Peru thing. But me, and I'm not trying to say anything, but like I've been in Hollywood for a while, right? I know
Yeah.
not to invest too much time and effort into different companies that I don't feel like are my ultimate thing. So like I never had beef with Rabbit Films, but I'm like, I'm gonna just find something more successful, to be honest with you. So I didn't invest my time because it's like if I wasn't getting paid a lot for one. None of us were. So it's like
Hmm.
for me to go to Peru and all that. And at the time, my now fiance had just gotten face surgery. So like while they were in Peru, so it was perfect timing for me to go hang out with her while she's recovering while they're in Peru. So it made a lot of sense.
Yeah,
Um,
it didn't feel
but
like the right time to run over to Peru while your now fiance is was recovering.
exactly. And it was perfect. It couldn't have worked out more perfectly. So I'm glad of the decisions that I made not to go too far into it, because, Rabbit Films is still doing very well. It's a company, in Finland now. They do a lot of the bigger like TV shows, like Finland's Got Talent and stuff. It's all by Rabbit Films. So it's a very successful company. But it was good for me to not do that. Because like looking back, I would have regretted
Yeah,
it.
it
You know what I
wasn't
mean?
it
Yeah,
wasn't your path. Yeah, and
yeah, yeah,
100% this podcast, one of the reasons that I started it was because I wanted to show people that there wasn't one cookie cutter path to get to where you want to be or where you want to go or what you deem as successful or whatever your goal is.
yeah,
Everyone takes a different path, and you just have to have faith in yourself, your skills, and try your hardest, and you'll get to where is best for you. And what's best for you wasn't Rabbit Films, like you pursued other endeavors, and I think it worked out for you, and
yeah,
there's nothing wrong with saying that,
yeah.
and JC and Paul, they went to Peru, and that was their path. Uh,
And you know what? They benefited a lot from it. So it actually, well, Paul almost died. Besides that, I mean, like literally, that was so fucked up. I'm sure you talked to Paul. Am I allowed to cuss on your podcast?
yeah, yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, Paul almost effing died. Like, did you guys talk about
He
that at
never,
all?
no, we never discussed
Oh,
Peru.
oh my God. Okay, because long story short, with that, I mean, bro, like, you know, he fell off a building. And the circumstances are still pretty hazy on how that happened, but they took like a day and a half to find him or something, and they were calling
Jesus.
us like somebody's got to tell his mom, and I'm like, you want me to tell Paul's mom that he's like dead in Peru? I'm like, I almost had a panic attack. They wanted me to tell her. I'm like, bro, I'm the last person she wants to hear this stuff. Like I barely knew her, and, and stuff too. So I was like, it was really shitty. But yeah, they benefited a lot because they got to meet. So Paul still works for Stevo, and that's where he met
Yes.
Stevo. Was in Peru. So it's like everything does work out for a reason. Sniper Wolf was there. Maybe JC will get engaged to Sniper Wolf one day. I think
And
he wants that.
one day.
Yeah, one day.
Is he back from Mexico yet? Because when I spoke to him, he was living like Mexico, working on music.
Yeah, so he still lives in Mexico,
Oh,
which
dope.
is really cool. And I'm a little, I don't know if I'm super white, but I'm a little afraid to go to Mexico and visit him, because it's like I keep hearing all this stuff. I'm in Texas, I don't know. It just seems dodgy. But Paul and
Yeah.
JC make fun of me all the time. They're like, bro, you were wrong. Mexico's
Ho-
safe. And I'm like,
hold down the
well,
fort.
okay.
You just hold down the fort. There's no rush to go to Mexico. It's not going anywhere. you
That's
know.
what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, it'll be there. So, but yeah, he's in Mexico still. He's got himself a girlfriend now. I see him on Instagram. She's pretty hot. So she looks like Kourtney Kardashian. So
Hey,
good for him.
congratulations to him.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
no.
So he's doing good, and their music is awesome. So I don't know if you heard their new album, that the Kid Is You album, the new
Yes, of
one.
course. I
Oh,
am a big fan and constant listener to their
oh,
music.
good. Isn't it good? It is the most underrated fucking album. Like, bro, I swear I played it like 100 times probably in the last year, and it's like all the way through. And they are
I've
so
listened,
talented.
yeah, I've listened to like every song. Like, and
Yeah,
honestly, I feel that it's not getting the recognition that it deserves. Um
no,
I think maybe it and this is their style, but I think maybe it's because they don't stick to one genre. So it's very hard
yeah,
to label what they are. And for some reason, people are like obsessed with labels. So they're like,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, is it
exactly.
rap? Is it like, alternative? Is it like what is this? There's a whole part where JC's like rap like singing and rapping in Spanish and stuff like that,
Yeah, awesome. Yeah,
and it's great. I love it, but it's like then people
yeah.
like don't know where to categorize it. So I think that's like they're dumb. People are dumb because they should just
People are
listen
dumb.
to it and it's great.
Yeah, and it took me a while to even listen to it too, because at first, and this might have been part of their marketing, but like, when the album opens, it's like I think the first like two and a half songs are like almost all like Spanish or something, and and so it was called. I think the album was called Argentina. So like me, I was like, they made a fucking Spanish album. That's awesome, but like I don't know if it's really for me. But then like as the album gets on, it really opens up to all these other genres, and it's one of my favorite albums now. So it's like maybe they didn't market it right in certain ways, but at the same time, it's like, look, they did the hardest part, which is make incredible fucking music. So
Agreed.
it's so good, and so I just love those guys so much. Those are my boys,
Joey,
my
Joey,
boys.
talk to me now that we're on music. Talk to me about your rap
Uh-huh.
career. Joe
So
Reaper.
my rap career is very interesting. So I've been rapping for a long time, like since
Have you?
middle since middle school. Yeah, it's not like some new thing. Like that's actually why I'm so mad at myself for not doing it more, because I've been doing it since middle school. I had an album come out a long time ago. I'm talking like, oh God, what was it? Probably like 2007. I had an album come out, and I promoted it all over this college in Virginia, and I had like my Twitter like on my car, and like I played a little show. It was awesome. So I had a really good time with music back in 2007, 2000 to 2009. I had a really good run on my first album. It's actually still really good. I still play it sometimes. But then after that, when I moved to LA, JC and I, we still made some songs together, which is great. It's on our old channel. We have an old channel called The Island. I don't know if you ever seen that?
I've never
Oh,
seen that.
we would get canceled nowadays if people started playing those, because some of those jokes are just so like you can't say that anymore. And so like, yeah, I'll send you the channel after the podcast. You're gonna love it. But it's
All
an
right,
old channel with
perfect.
me, Paul, GC. It's before we started at the Deuces, so it's really good stuff. So we had a bunch of songs on there, and then I joined a rap group called the Batarang Gang, and I was the white guy in the group. It was really we were so ahead of our time, bro. Like we had two black dudes. We had a little German girl who was also black, and then we had a Latino girl and it was just like such a diverse group of people, and we were in a gang, you know, and it was just fucking, and it was a Batman themed gang. It was just the coolest shit ever. And so we have a bunch of music videos as the Batarang Gang on YouTube, and then
Diverse. Let me tell you,
it was
diverse. Very diverse
oh
group.
super diverse. And it was cool being in a group, because like I would go do a song with just the little German girl or just Dizzleack or someone, so it was a lot of content to be made, because it was like five members, and we were all over the place making music, and really good stuff. We have this one song. It's all about video games, and it's got like this 8-bit like soundtrack. It's just so sick. It's on I think it's on Spotify still, but it's really good stuff.
Wait, so it's on
Check it out.
Spotify. So if I looked it up, I could like hear you rap, like not
Yeah, I'm
just.
on it. I'm Joe Reaper. I'm on it. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah, it's good.
crazy.
It's so it's really good stuff. And so from there, as far as rap music goes, I really had to take a seat on it, because I don't know if you noticed, but things got pretty heated politically around like 2016 and those eras. And so
No,
what
I never
happened was,
noticed.
you
Never,
never
never
noticed?
affect.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah,
there was
no.
this guy called Donald Trump who really fucked up a lot of stuff for people. Not me. I thought he was all right, but oh God, here I go saying stuff like that on the podcast. But I'm saying like I had to take a step down from the rap career because a lot of my it was just so politically heated and things got weird. And then the Batarang gang, they a lot of them moved. Like the German girl went back to Germany.
Oh,
Digilac was
she
big.
was like from Germany. Like she
She was from Germany. Like
imported
she was
straight from Germany. You guys
straight from
imported
Germany.
her.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then she went back. Yeah, we have a whole song about her leaving too. And it's on the Island channel, and JC and Paul are in it too. It's great. This is all before the Dudes thing, pre-Dudes and stuff.
Yeah,
It's
I'm getting
great.
schooled with this history lesson. This is
Yeah.
wild. So
Yeah, so
so
the music stuff goes back far, and then now I'm just doing it because I got a chance. I'm older now. I still freestyle all the time, and it's something that I really love doing. And so like I don't think you should ever stop doing something you love, regardless of age or anything. And I can't spill the beans too much on this one project that we just did, but it involves a very big musical artist who got new artist of the year, and he was 40 or 39 when he got new best new artist. So it's like, bro, I'm not even that old. I'm like 35. So it's like if I drop
it,
an album in 5 years, they're like Rick Ross dropped his first album at 40. And he's Rick Ross. So I mean
there's
like it never really stops age wise,
no,
which is
there's
cool.
always time.
Yeah.
There's that like that old lady that streams video games from her nursing home and she gets like
Yeah.
thousands of viewers. So it's like what's stopping us, you know? I just turned 30 by
Nothing
the way.
stops. Oh, you just turned 30? Congrats,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
You made it this
thank you.
far. That's a
Yeah,
crazy age. That's like you either get successful, kill yourself, or like
that's
or you have a baby mom, or one of those.
you know, I got to this age and I was like, man, I made it at 30. Because when I was in high school, I was
That
like,
way.
I was crazy. So I
Yeah.
was like, live fast, die young, all that mindset. And then
Yeah.
I'm here and I'm like, what do I do
Congrats.
now? Like, do I focus
Yeah.
on a career? Uh,
What is your move? I mean, what do you do? Tell me about yourself.
so I work in live production,
Oh
for a
hell yeah.
company. So we do live productions. It's mainly like corporate events and stuff, but I'm a technical
Yeah.
supervisor where we set up projectors and speakers and all sorts of stuff. But
Awesome.
my what I went to school for and what my career path really is and what my passion is I'm a video editor, photographer, and videographer by trade.
Nice.
And I am also I don't like saying it because it sounds freaking weird, but like I'm a filmmaker, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Not weird. That's
so
dope. Yeah.
yeah, it just sounds weird because like if someone's like, what films do you have? I'm like, I've shot
Yeah.
music
Anything I
videos.
heard of,
Yeah.
something I heard of, what you make? It's like, well, maybe not yet.
Yeah, so I just finished
Did
the
you?
script,
Yeah.
and I'm in the pre-production phases, and it's a short film. I want to go ahead and enter it into the short film festival circuit and everything, gain some
Nice.
traction, and then create a
Yeah.
feature length. It's a mockumentary because my main focus, I love comedy, and
Yeah.
unironically, my favorite director is Kevin Smith,
Oh,
and
cool. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
my and my favorite film is Jane Silent Bob Strike Back. So I love stoner comedies.
Classic.
I like
Classic.
dumb shit in
Yeah.
general. So that's
Yeah.
me.
That's awesome, man. I love to hear it. Well, good. I'm glad you're pursuing your dreams, man. There's nothing, I feel like people really, people die once they stop doing it. You know what I mean? You should
Yes.
always go for what, always do what makes you happy, man. Never settle, dude. So I'm very happy for you for that. I love that.
Yeah, no, and
That's
like we all took different paths. You went to Full Sail. I went to like a
yeah,
technical college, and then I know people who never even went to school for what they do, and they're like
yeah,
highly successful. And
right.
because
Some
I
of the
was
most
hearing
successful people I know haven't even gone to college, like which is
it
crazy.
exactly
Yeah,
like I hear people talking about like, oh, how would I even start that? Like I never went to school for that, and I'm like, look, if you got
yeah,
a passion for it, hit up YouTube University. Like learn everything you can. Nothing's really
yeah,
stopping you. Um, and I understand that like those paths are scary, but hey, if you don't like ever like jump for your goal, like you're never gonna get anywhere. And
right.
and that's not to diminish anyone's struggle because everyone has their own struggles in life. And I get that and I understand that. But also waiting for the right time might be appropriate as well. But everyone takes
Mhm.
different paths. Don't count yourself out just because you're a little older or you're a little less like traditionally educated and
Mhm.
those things shouldn't really matter.
The hardest thing I feel like people have to like getting towards their goals is just starting. It's just doing it, because now I'm because now I guess my label is like YouTube producer, right? Yay. And that's cool. I love that. But I have so many fucking people come up to me and be like, what do I do? What do I do? I'm like, you just got to do. Like a lot of people just don't do. Like, look at you right now. You're doing a podcast with me. I love that. Like, that's awesome. You're doing, me rapping. That's me. That's doing, So a lot of people will just be like, I want to do this one day, or I want to do that one day. You know what? I'm not saying like, go into it blind, but like just start, because that's how you're going to get better at anything. It's like anybody starts from, nobody's going to start at the top. I mean, maybe some people do, but like you have to literally just put in the work, in the hours to be able to be who you want to be. And it could be a completely different thing. Like some people are like, I want to make a YouTube channel because I have such a good personality. I'm like, yeah, you do. You have a great personality. And they're like, well, I don't know what kind of content I want to make. And it's like, well, why don't you try different content until something works? And it's like, that's also a viable route. It's like you could do reviews, you could do all this stuff. And then it's like, one day it's just like, wow, this video got 60,000 views. I only have 1,000 followers. Like, maybe that's what I should do. It's like, yeah, maybe it is. Like, but you wouldn't have known unless you tried. And so I feel like that's
100% agree. Yeah.
yeah.
No.
And so
But
that's the thing. So never be afraid. Like I know, as far as music goes, again, I'm no like expert on music, right? But I do love it, and it's something I'm very passionate about. But I do know like 2 or 3 people off the top of my head that are like, I would quit everything right now to pursue a rap career. I even had my friend, just her boyfriend just broke up with her, and he's like, I'm going to pursue being a rapper. And I know the guy, and I'm like, this guy raps? I was like, how? I've rapped in front of him before. I'm like, and he's never said anything. I'm like, this is weird. Like, why would, so people are, I guess, just shy about stuff, or kind of like, hesitant about like their own dreams and goals. And it's like, you know what? You really have to be a little delusional to like go for your dreams. Like, look at Kanye and stuff. It's like, it's like, I'm a god. It's like, he might not be a god, but he's going to get a lot closer to being a god than people that aren't saying that.
no, you said a
you
little,
know,
a little delusional. If we're talking
a
about
little.
Kanye, if we're talking about Kanye,
Yeah.
there's a gap. There's a gap there.
But
But
you needed that delusion to even do the stuff. So maybe
no,
not
agreed.
maybe don't follow Kanye's route, but there are ways to be you have to be a little delusional in your dreams. You got
No,
to think big.
I agree. No, I 100% agree. It's like I was talking to a this was a previous podcast. I was talking to a friend who she's a producer over in and filmmaker over in LA right now. And
Oh, cool.
well, shit, I don't know if she's still in LA. Well, she was when I was talking to her. And
Yeah,
I was like, "How do you get started on a script?" And she's like, "Well, just by getting started. The hardest part about starting on a script is just getting started on the script. The
yeah.
Go ahead, type your name, and then write fade in, and boom, you started. And now you just go from
Oh,
there." And I
that's
was
a
like,
good way
"Wow,
to get
man,
that started. That's
that's
good.
true." I was like, "That's
Yeah,
so true." And I've taken
that's
that
so
advice a
true.
lot. Yeah.
Mhm. I love that. Yeah, that's a good way. Yeah, because I don't know how to exactly start. It's for like everyone's different, but you gotta just start pursuing it. It's like like I was just saying with the guy that like it's like there was a million opportunities that this guy that I know could have mentioned that he rapped or even cared about, right? But he was always very quiet, very chill. He's met JC a bunch of times. JC and I would freestyle in front of this guy. And he never even said once that he was going to pursue his rap career in front of us. Not once. We would have loved to have him jump in or just have fun, just anything. And it's just like wild to me that like, you really have to have a go-getter attitude no matter what it is. You just
Yeah.
have to go, you know, because that's how you make things happen. It's like manifesting or just making your dreams come true. It all starts with words, and words lead to action. And it's literally that simple. It's just science at that point. You got to just speak it into existence, like fake it till you make it in a way. Like,
Agreed.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's so
So
important.
what
Yeah.
what 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 inspired you to pursue this path? I know you said you were really into music, in like around it was a really big thing for you in like the 2007s, early 2000 eras. Was it
Yeah.
music that sent you to Full Sail? Were you going for music? Were you going for like film or what was going on there?
Oh wow, that's actually a really good question. So I actually went to Full Sail for a few reasons. So I actually went for a degree in computer science, which I got a degree in computer science for 3D animation. So I went to school to work in video games at first, but I went
Dope.
to Full Sail, yeah, which is I still love video games, but I went to college to make games to be specifically a 3D modeler. I like the modeling process, not so much animation or even texturing. I just like modeling, right? And so I pursued that in college, but I went to Full Sail so that I could also do music because there was a huge music scene. And so I was able to scratch my music itch while, pursuing that. And so what happened was when I graduated Full Sail, I still thought I was going to be making video games. So what I did was I moved to LA, which is like what they tell you in Full Sail. They're like, you got to move to like a big city or else you're not going to make it. And it's like, all right, cool. So I moved to LA right when Paul and JC did. So that's when we moved in together. We moved into this giant house called The Island, which is that channel I'm going to send you, where you can see all these silly videos. But what happened was I went there and I got an interview at Blizzard, the gaming company
Oh,
Blizzard, the big one.
snap. You work for Blizzard?
Well, no. So I got an interview there
An
and they flew
interview.
me
Okay.
out. They paid for my stuff, and I had a 7 hour interview at Blizzard. I'm talking like it was. I've never since then. I've never had an interview like that. Like they took me to lunch. They were like judging me on like what I ate and everything, and like it was crazy. And so yeah, they took me to Fuddruckers, and they were like looking at what I was ordering. I was like, this is weird as shit.
Well, at least you
So,
dodged all their controversy that ended up happening with all the, you know,
yeah.
sexual assault and like weird harassment stuff. You know,
Honestly, yeah, I did dodge that bullet. The game I would have been working on was Overwatch, the first one, which would have been really cool, because
that
I did
okay,
love that
so
game. That
yeah,
was a
no,
good
no.
game.
Yeah, I played it a
um,
lot.
yeah, yeah, it was good. And so, but anyway, so I got rejected, or they passed on me, which was fine, because then I started working as a PA for my roommate at the time, who was a production coordinator, and she was working on all these shows for the ID channel, called like Blood Relatives and a few other ones where it's like murder shows where they reenact it, right? And so it was fun because I was actually on camera a lot as like a cop or like a doctor, like, because it's all like, there's no audio.
Yeah.
So if you ever watch these old episodes, you might just see me in there just like, writing up a police report or something funny like in the background. And so what happened was from there, and this is actually going to go so in line with your podcast. That was like such a good question because it's like, just kind of like how it works right behind the scenes. So like I came to Hollywood, I got the interview at Blizzard. That didn't happen. I started working as a PA, and then after working as a PA for a while on television, I was like, I needed a better living and job situation. So I ended up being a live-in personal assistant for a DJ. I like lived at her house and I like organized her shoes and I did all this crazy stuff. And yeah, it was super weird.
That's
But then
crazy. No, that's no lie. That's nutty right there.
it was nutty. And so that was a weird job. And so like I have some recommendations for any of your fans that end up watching this that might want to do a job like that. Never live where you work because like I would come home at like 3 a.m. on like a Friday to the house and she'd still be up on our computer working. And and then it'd be like, hey, can you get this done? And I'm like, oh, like, it just sucks because it's like you're always going back to work. You're never going home, you know?
Yeah, no.
It was awful. And so, but the reason I brought that up is because I was still doing PA work, while I was living with her. But one day she got an email and it was like, hey, do you want to prank your friends on a TV show? And I was like, hey, did you want to prank your friends on a TV show? And she's like, no. And I'm like, okay, well, can I prank one of my friends? And she's like, do you mind? And I'm like, do you mind if I, do it from your, even though it's your email? And she's like, yeah. So I signed up and I pranked my friend on a TV show on Fox. And it was such a good prank. It went so well that the casting director hired me to do more casting. So I pranked other members of like the Batarang gang and like some of my friends and all these people. And then he ended up hiring me. And then that was the producer that was working on Natural Born Pranksters. Because the reason he got to work on that is because Vitaly and Roman Atwood were YouTubers, and so what happened was they've never made anything outside of YouTube like in accordance with the law. You know, because you
Yeah.
can't like on YouTube back in those days, you could take a fart bomb, throw it into Burger King, like everyone reacts, like everyone's like gagging, and then you could just put it online and make a bunch of money. You know, so you get paid for terrorizing people. You know,
No,
and
see,
so
that really was like I had
that was
said that
crazy.
you working there was like the Wild West. That was really the Wild West. Early YouTube was
Yeah,
such a crazy place. It's like the pranks, a lot of
yeah.
them were real and a lot of them were a
Mhm.
little absurd. And then people would go, it's a social experiment. And it's like what? Like to see people gag to death from the fart bomb? Like
Yeah,
what's the
or like
social part?
or like doing the gunshots in the hood prank. Remember that one?
Yeah,
Like that was
no.
all
Or fighting
that.
people in the hood.
Yeah,
Yeah, no.
yeah.
Crazy.
It's it was so great, and so essentially they hired so Roman and Roman Atwood and Vitaly. They hired my boss at the time, Jordan, because he worked on so many TV shows with pranking, so that he knew all the paperwork and all the ways to do it legally. And so that's where, and then through him, that's how I met Yuka. So it all, and then from there, I literally just worked in YouTube pretty much ever since. I did advertising for 2 years. That was fun, but YouTube just keeps calling me back. So now I got like a bunch of clients. My fiance is a full time YouTuber. I still talk with Paul and JC. It just never ends. So I
Yeah,
love it.
and look at that path. Look at that path you take. That
Yeah.
was the the most, crooked roundabout
Yeah.
path that you could have taken. And like I consider it that it was a successful path. You're
It,
doing something that you enjoy and like you made your moves and who would have thought you went from like being a living, assistant to a DJ to being on TV doing pranks and
yeah.
then getting picked up from there and being where you are today, you know?
Yeah.
And
It
that
was a
just
success story, but man, it's like it takes a lot of hustle and drive. The whole time I was broke as shit. Like even on the movie, they were only paying me $640 a week, which was like, I mean, living in LA was like really not a lot. That was like I was like the fourth name in the credit. It's like I got paid like nothing. It was crazy.
yeah, no,
Yeah,
I've spoken to people that are like, I'm in LA, I'm only making like 80K. How do they expect me to survive? And I'm like, Jesus Christ, what are you talking about? Like,
yeah.
and they're like, yeah, no, the cost of living over here is ridiculous. And I'm like,
See,
oh,
that's why I was living. That's why I was literally living in somebody's house as a like living slave. It was like, like I mean, you got to live somewhere. It was crazy.
yeah,
So,
oh, I get paid
yeah,
and you give me a roof over my head? Deal,
yeah.
I'll
I just got
take
to
it.
organize a bunch of shoes before your show. Cool, like, or whatever. Feed her
Yeah,
pets.
it just goes to show you that like I guarantee you, we take you as some teenager and we go, where do you think your life is gonna go? You know, they would have never
Yeah,
guessed half the shit that you've done or that
yeah,
you pursued or that you worked on. And
yeah.
like you just got to learn to adapt. And I think that you did that masterfully. You adapted to the situations and you
Yeah.
I think that you pursued your goal and your success and hey, congratulations, man.
Yes, thank you. I'm a survivor, and anybody can do it though. That's another good thing that you can learn from this. It's like, bro, I went in there with like $1 and a dream, like literally, well, and a degree. I do think that actually did play a role in it. Even though people like the most successful people I know don't have degrees. So let me just preface it with that. But having the degree really helped me, or at least in Full Sail, really helped get me that drive because Full Sail was a very, very difficult college. Like, I don't know how
Mhm.
much you know about it, but it was
Yeah, a
very
lot.
difficult. Like the first day of class, they go, look to your left and look to your right. Only one of you is going to graduate. And I was like, oh, it was like the first hour of being there. I was like, ooh,
Only one is
okay.
you can graduate and you're like me. Like
Yeah,
not that
me,
guy, not yeah, me. I
bro.
call
And
it
then
dibs.
and it was 24-hour school. Like I would have classes at 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. and then again at 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. So I'm like, bro, it's like it was nuts. I like, and then that was and then it was like a whole year of that, and then it was from there. It was like and then every other month or something, your other class would change. So it's like your schedule is just like all over the place. It was just very difficult. Like
Yeah, but
Yeah,
how
yeah,
realistic is that? Like when you're working on a shoot or some sort of production,
yeah,
that's it. Like the schedules are crazy, everything's always changing. You gotta
yeah,
adapt. Oh yeah, we weren't able to rent this place out or do this at this time. We're gonna have to come back at 10 p.m. and we're pulling an all-nighter. And it's like, okay,
yeah,
well, I guess that's what we're doing today. And you just have to go with it. So it feels pretty realistic at that point. They trained you guys. They were like, don't get comfortable.
yeah.
It's never
Th-
comfortable.
You're so right. And they called it real world education because it really was. Like I really did get a lot of real education out of it. And there's been a few shoots I can remember that did go completely 24 hours. Like I was working at World of Wonder, the place that did RuPaul's Drag Race and a few other shows, and we were doing a show for them. I can't even remember what the show was called. I think it was called Black Beauty, but then they changed it because they're like, oh, it's a little racist of a title or something. They changed the title, so I can't remember what the new one was. But it was it was like the girl from the Bad Girls Club and everything. But long story short, we filmed an entire day of filming, and the talent had to go home in the morning. And I guess the camera people checked the cameras or the footage, and it was all fucked. And so we had to call all the talent back at 8 p.m. after we shot up until 7 to film all the way until the next day. And I was like, bro, like everything we filmed that whole day, we had to film again. It was crazy because they were all flying out the next day, and it was just, oh man. And so that's
How
just
disheartening
one
is
example.
that? How disheartening is that? You pull a whole day shoot and then like you realize, oh yeah, we gotta do it all over again.
Oh, and I was a PA, so like I'm just driving the talent, so I had to. I'm driving them, I'm getting them stuff, and I'm doing the whole thing, setting things up. But like, man, I heard all kinds of mad complaining. I hear it all. These motherfuckers, they're not paying me like all. It's just everything. So, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's it's a wild industry out in LA, man.
no, I can only imagine. And like that actually brings me to my next point or my next question. Like, how do you balance, the practical aspects of like, the industry, the production or media industry with your personal life? Like, what's the balance there?
That's
Is
a
there a
very, very
balance?
your questions are so good. I'm so glad that these are like the questions you're asking, but my balance is very tough because like I'm not an on-screen talent most of the time. Do you know what I mean? So like,
Yeah.
even doing this podcast, I'm like, hey, let's do it. I'm barely on podcast now. It's like because I'm so behind the scenes. I'm like, I'm in all the meetings and and I run the pre-production, and I've worked with all these YouTubers. You can see me in the background of a lot of videos, like in the foreground, not so much. But for my personal life, it's like my fiance is a full-time YouTuber, but like her
Yeah.
and I don't post a lot of stuff together. It's better for her career as well, and then so I kind of keep that aspect of my life private, and then just so I can have something for my own. And then like even from there, it's like my content that I release on YouTube is for me. I don't do it for anyone else. I do it because I love doing it. And that I feel like is the core of what YouTube is. So if I'm feeling inspired to make a song or I have all this footage of my life that I want to put out, it's like, that's where I get my like my fit, So like the balance really for me is like I like staying behind the scenes until somebody asks me because I do like being in front of the camera too. So it's more so like I just go with the flow. Like I'm never trying to, and that's where people slip up too. Like if you saw me out dropping a video every single day on YouTube, like you'd probably be like, Joey's really trying a little hard or something. You know what I mean? He's kind of like, I don't know. It's a little sus. But like you'll see me in all kinds of fun stuff coming up. And actually, there's something really crazy. Do you follow me on Instagram?
Uh, no, I follow you on YouTube.
Okay. Follow me on Instagram because I'll post it. I'm going to post some stuff coming up in the spring. Really funny stuff that I did. So that's in front of the camera to answer your question. It's like, yeah, and I haven't done that really in a while. So yeah, so there'll be more of that. But to keep the balance, I really do kind of keep them separate in a lot of ways.
I think that's
So
important. I think that's important to be
yeah,
able to shut off the cameras, shut things out, and like when you're home, you're home. You're enjoying time
yeah,
with your fiance, or when you're out to dinner with her. Like, that's just kind of how things are. I've seen too many
yeah. I'm much
situations.
happier like filming her videos, like than having to be in it too, because like there's a lot of negativity that comes in with being public in a relationship and being public in general, you know?
Exactly.
And so, because I get hired all the time, thank God. I couldn't say that probably 6 years ago. It's like, now it's like, now that I've been doing YouTube for so long, people want to work with me, which is fantastic. But if I had put out a bunch of videos that made me look like a serial killer or like a complete psychopath or some whatever, it's like people might not want to work with me. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's good that I keep it a little bit private as well. So
Yeah,
it's
maybe
just,
maybe it worked to your benefit, And like you said, I've seen too many situations. I've seen too many situations where there's like those YouTube couples, and then things get
yeah,
like really nasty because now they're just trying to overproduce it by every day there's like a vlog, or every day there's like a date night or a situation, and then it just I feel like those stressors are just unnecessary in a relationship. There's some people that can
yeah,
do it, and good for
yeah.
them. But to always have a camera in my face, I think I would go crazy. Like I need time to just be secluded in my own little hermit cave at home and to unwind. And I don't need the
Yeah,
cameras on me at those points sometime.
you're so right. You're so right. I mean, it's like keep having that balance is just really important. And then as you get higher in your career, it's kind of like it becomes even more important. Like if I was visible all the time, that would actually be bad for my career. Because I actually without disclosing too much, but I was recently working with a YouTuber who had members on his team that were not a fan of the messaging that my fiance's channel put out. And
Hmm.
I got in trouble. I'm like, I don't tell her what to do. Like, she wears the pants and armor. Like, you gonna get mad at me? I'm like, I don't tell her what to say. Like, bro, like, so it's like, so I'll get in trouble by proxy just by, even working with the wrong people or being too public with one thing or the other. Like,
Hmm.
how I told you I worked with Vitali, for a
Yeah.
while.
Oh,
It's
was there backlash there?
yeah, I've gotten backlash from people saying like, oh, we don't really want to work with, yeah, we realize you did pranks and stuff, but like we're not trying to do anything like that you did like back in those days. Like that's like kind of really inappropriate. And so like just them knowing that is like kind of like, all right, so now I'm already like kind of on their not good list because like of something I did like 6 years ago. Do you know what I mean? So it's
Yes.
like, yeah. So
How,
so being public has its not great moments too,
no, I can imagine. And like, yeah, I do this podcast, right? But honestly, I've become pretty okay with when I was younger, I wanted to be like a YouTuber as well. I was like, I want to do funny videos and everything like that. And
Yeah.
it was more like you said for me, and it wasn't ever like, oh, I'm gonna make this into my career. I've always
Mm,
preferred being behind the scenes and possibly directing or script writing.
that's great.
But the most I think I put myself out there is this podcast. But it's because I enjoy
Good for
talking to
you.
people and learning those experiences
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But like this also goes into my next question. How do you handle
Yeah.
criticism or feedback on your
Um,
work or in your personal life? Like is it like a
well,
struggle? Are you a comment
yeah.
reader? Do you read comments or do you just try to ignore all that?
Well, that's something I guess I kind of struggle with because I do get a lot of negative comments, which is crazy. But the comments that I get are just so ignorant. I have to respond. You know what I mean? I'm like, ugh, I can't have this fucker saying this, and so like I have to say something. I would get like some old Indian woman on my Instagram being like, and I'm like, bitch, like I'm not gonna like that I and then me just being funny in myself, I'm like, don't then I'll say something kind of crazy back to her, and then like and then it'll just be like a thing, so because I guess that's where like I do have a problem because I'll just run my mouth, so
Yeah.
if somebody so people will just say stuff all the time or like so I guess I handle it in a bad way. To be honest with you, it like doesn't bother me like deep to my core, but it does make me. I do respond, which is like probably the last thing I should be doing. you know.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, I'm
but
gonna I'm
yeah,
gonna admit to you, like, yeah, maybe it doesn't bother you. Maybe responding isn't the best. You're never gonna win online, you know.
no,
Yeah,
no.
and I'm pretty sure you already fully understand that. But
And I just like to fight. I think sometimes I was like, this bitch wants to call me online. I was like, I invented this shit. I don't know. I'll just say some even more reckless stuff, which is like, it's so bad. And you know what? Thank you for bringing this up. I should talk to my therapist about this. This is a good point.
Well, screw it. At least you're getting like the last word in. That makes you a winner
Yeah.
in my book, Joey. That makes you a
Thank you.
winner
Yeah.
right here.
Me too. I just can't let. I guess what it is like there's like a sense of justice. It's like I just can't have somebody saying something crazy. They're like, but if it's something like I don't like this song or something, and it's like that to me that's not crazy. I'd be like, okay, well
Yeah.
it's not for you. But if somebody comment like, oh god, somebody commented something, it has to be a really certain type of comment that'll just like trigger me because it'll be like this guy would be like, why are you still making videos or something, right? And I'll be like, let's see what videos this fucker's making. Then I'd go onto his YouTube and it'd be like a week ago, 2 views. And I'll be like, and I would comment. I'll be like, why are you still making videos? I would just be like a fucking, you know what I mean? So I just, sometimes I should just shut up, but like, it's just fun. I guess I'm from that, Call of Duty, Xbox era where I just
Oh
can't
God, don't
keep
even
my
get me
fucking mouth shut.
started. Yeah, don't even get
Yeah,
me started where it's just like spamming the mic with like the worst, most toxic things.
you
You
know
know?
what I'm talking about, bro. It's so hard
Yeah,
for me to
well,
just like sit
I was
there
there
and just
too.
take. Yeah, yeah, I bet. I bet. And it's like, so people nowadays, they don't really play like that. And so like, I probably should chill it out. But again, it's very rare. I'd say, once every few months because my online presence is very like professional now. It's like, I got my LinkedIn, I got the YouTube jobs profile, and I got my own YouTube channel and Insta, all the regular socials, but I'm just really retweeting stuff and liking stuff. So it's not like, I'm posting like inflammatory stuff or anything. It's just so that's I guess why I get mad because somebody will say something so fucking crooked and ignorant, and I'm like, motherfucker, like just go.
Well, I have all this pent up because I haven't actually posted anything, and I'm targeting you. Like you
Exactly.
made yourself a target.
Like, bro, if I'm bored on a Tuesday night and somebody's gonna come for me, it's like this is gonna be an awesome time for me. Like, so thank you. A little anger. But yeah, no, but generally it's everything's really positive and good. It's just like a few weirdos. And usually they're people that just like hate my fiance or something like that.
Yeah, no.
So it's not a big deal.
Well, I'm glad to know that because last time I checked, her channel was still doing like fairly well, like
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
And I'm glad that you're as supportive as can be, like from what it seems, and like
Oh yeah.
like you said, you help her with editing, you helped her with filming and everything, and
Yeah.
that's great, man. That's great to see. I was so happy when
Yeah.
like online, like your relationship was like unveiled and everything, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I love that.
That's great. Yeah.
I love it for you, and I'm glad that you're making strides in life, pursuing your happiness, man. Honestly.
Thank you. And that's what everyone should do, just no matter what, it's like, find yourself a partner and a person that you can grow and be happy with. And that, that's partly why it works so well. It's like, she does YouTube and I do YouTube. It's like, we have a lot of interests outside of that, but it's like, it's good. I think, I would say most of the time it is unhealthy for like a wife and husband to work together, because from what I've seen, at least, it's usually not a great idea. And
Yeah.
even with us, it gets kind of dodgy sometimes. It's like, just not like on a serious level, but it's like, why isn't the camera set up? Or like what? It's just dumb crap, right? That like couples normally wouldn't have to deal with. So I would say in general, stay away from it. But I do think it really works for us, and I'm sure it works for a lot of other people too. Just having that similar interest.
Well,
Yeah.
actually,
Like
so
Yuka and Chachi, right? Like they're together and they're both YouTubers and they've been together for several years now.
yeah,
So,
and actually, my fiance and I, we used
oh,
to work
congrats,
together.
by the way. That's great.
Thank you, I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
yeah.
But we worked together at a call center for multiple years,
Mm.
and in the same account and everything, and it was literally the best. Like my
Oh,
fiance
that's
is like my
cool.
best friend. Like so
Oh, I love
we're
that. Yeah,
yeah, and we would take lunch at the same times. We would take breaks at the same times, and then there was a point where everything shut down with quarantine. We went remote,
yeah.
and since we lived together, we would
Oh,
be
that's
working.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah, we were working in the same house, during lunch we would go and we would just take a nap together and cuddle, and
Love
we would just yeah. So and she's also my co-CEO for our production company, our media production company.
it. Nice.
Um, yeah, so we do music videos. She does social media management. She's a graphic designer. So we also work in the same space. She's a graphic designer and like
Yeah,
she does social media and art. And then I do things like the photography, videography, and editing. Um,
that's
and
great.
so it's like we mesh like that,
Yeah, I
you
was
know?
about to say, it sounds like you guys cover each other's bases really well. That's good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly, yes. So yeah,
I
we
love
started the
that.
company together and but I have also seen the complete opposite side where it's like there's people who are like, oh, I could never work with my significant other. And like, I need
Yeah,
that break time and I can't be around her all day. I'm like, my God, I can't imagine being in a
yeah.
situation where I'm like just unhappy to go home.
I know. And so many guys are like that, And I honestly, I know a lot that are like that. They're like, yeah, if it wasn't for my work, I don't know if my wife and I would make it. I was like, why is that? He's like, well, because I'm gone all the time. It's like, is that a good thing?
That
Like, I
sounds
mean, bro,
terrible.
like, yeah, that doesn't sound good. Like, yeah, and so like, it couldn't be me, and it sounds like it couldn't be you either. Like,
No,
that's a
not
way
even
to live.
close.
Yeah. And then
So
going back to the YouTube couples, there's a lot of couples that like, they do it for the YouTube, and that's some of the most toxic stuff I've seen. And I can't name names. I wish I could, but I
I
can't.
wish you could
But
too.
I wish I could. But there are, and it's not anybody. It's not like Yuka and Chachi or anybody like that. But it's like they're far removed, and I actually don't have anything online with them that I could say. But like, there's big YouTubers that'll like date their girlfriend, and then like the girlfriend and the guy would have like completely different partners. They're like only online, like a couple. Like, do you know what I mean?
Oh,
And
that's
they'll have like
wild.
a complete lie, like complete lie. Like the girl will just come over on filming days to be the girlfriend. And it's like they have completely other relationships. And they're like very known people, like complete lie.
That's so
Yeah.
casted. That's so weird too. And it's
Yeah.
like, so
I think
how
that's,
does that work out with like fans or whatever? It's like they see you on the street with like your actual significant other, and it's just like you're living this weird double life, and now fans are seeing that and they're like, oh my God, he's a cheater. And
it's so
it's
much
just like
lying. It's just
too much
lying. It's
lying.
weird. It's like of the devil. I don't play that. I like to keep things real. Like, it's like that's just crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I'm a big fan of authenticity, and I believe that anything you do in life should be your authentic you. Even if your authentic you kind of sucks,
Yeah.
yes,
I agree. Yeah.
try to improve on yourself, and build yourself and your character and who you are as a person, but always be
Yeah.
you. Maybe right
Yeah.
now your authentic self sucks, but then, some therapy, some self-love and some hobbies and shit, like your authentic you sucks less. And then,
Yeah.
still be your authentic self. Um, I,
There's always
I'm
room for improvement, in
exactly. So
everything.
I'm always also kind of like a fan of people like who are their authentic selves and like just so unapologetically themselves online. And
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, I understand
That's
people
it.
play characters and stuff. And yes, but if you're telling me this character is the real you, I hate to find out that it's not. It just kind of breaks the
Yeah.
magic. It kind of sucks.
Yeah. It's
But
so fake, dude. Yeah.
yeah, no.
Yeah.
So Joey, when will the boyfriend's channel ever make a comeback? Like, when is it coming back, bro? Come on.
Here, let me show you. Let me show you something. Oh, this right here,
It's blurred.
good, because it's a script for the boyfriend that I wrote with JC and Paul recently.
Oh, fuck yeah,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah. And so, without giving too much away, Paul and JC came down to Austin and we got an Airbnb and we spent 3 days writing them. And it is the funniest shit I've ever heard. And it is so good. And we are in plan. See, yeah, I mean, it's legit. Like, look, it's even written like a script. See, you can.
Oh, fancy,
It's so good.
dude.
It's so
Hell,
great. And so it's just this epic tale. I can't say much of it, but it is there. The boyfriends will live on forever. And this next chapter, everything else before this was practice. So just so you know.
Amazing. This is the first positive answer I've gotten out of the three of you. The whole trifecta. Paul was like, who knows? Let's see where the world takes us. And, JC was the same, and there was no definitive answer. And boom, I just got the answer
Yeah,
that I wanted. I've asked three
yeah.
interviews, and this is the only good one that, only good response that I got.
That's right. Fuck you, Paul. Fuck you, JC. I'm the shit.
You heard it here
I
first.
love those guys. I love them.
No, they're
I
great.
love it.
No, they're
Yeah,
great. When I hit Paul up the first time, he was like, "Hey, man, I've never been asked to be interviewed for anything, so like, I'm so down." And I'm like,
yeah.
"Yes,
That's
yes,
how I felt. I'm like, oh, me, really cool. I love it. So it is only my second podcast, but it's my second podcast that I've done actually in the last 2 months. So I guess my podcast game is going up. So this is
you,
cool.
you were never on the Elk Lounge or Elk Lodge?
Oh yeah, I was on the Elk Lodge. Yeah,
Did you not count
it's so
that as
funny
a
because it's like I
podcast?
always forget. What's that?
Did
I
you
don't
not
count
count
it.
that as a podcast?
Well, anytime I do something with Paul and JC, I almost forget it's like a work. Like quote unquote like
Oh,
work
it's like
or
a
like
hangout.
content.
Like it's your
I
buddies,
just
your friends.
Bro, I just felt like I was hanging out with Paul and JC, so it's like I almost forgot it was Phil. Yeah, like yeah, it's always just so good seeing them.
Yeah, no, man. They're great guys. I hope to have them back on the podcast sometime in the future
Yeah,
to see some uh from like where they were then to where they are now, see how the path has
yeah.
diverted or changed for them. Because I know that I think Paul was like 2 years ago and JC was like a year and a half ago.
Oh, that's
That
probably why they gave you weird answers on the boyfriend because this is kind of recent. This is like new, so this is good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good. Because see, I saved you for last, like the best
yeah.
for last, because I
Right.
waited out that answer and I got the
Mhm.
answer I needed.
It's still very TBD. I got red markings all over it, and part of it wants to film in Mexico. And like I said, I'm kind of scared to go to Mexico, so it might be me that's holding it up, to be honest with you. So like but hearing your excitement really gets me excited because what we wrote is so funny, and I know that you and everybody that sees it would be like dying of laughter. I mean, bro, it is so funny. Like it is like because when you write something with like when I was writing with like Paul and JC, I was like we were like, are we the only people that think this is gonna be funny? It's like, no, no, this is funny fun. Like,
No,
you know?
there's an audience.
Oh,
There's an
yeah.
audience.
And I'm
Yeah.
so glad that you hit me up to do this because like now it's confirmed. Like, yeah, there people do want this. Like, I'm so glad you asked. It's really
No,
great.
man. I've been a fan. I'm gonna stay a fan. Don't go to
Oh
Mexico.
yeah.
Just throw a sepia filter over LA and you're good. Just say you
Actually,
did.
yeah. I mean, I was like, we could probably film in Texas somewhere pretty cheap too.
Yeah, just say
Somewhere.
you did.
Yeah. I was just
But
say Mexico.
but
That's cool.
so other than that, are
Mhm.
because we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna start wrapping up. I see that I've
Yeah.
taken up like an hour of your time.
Yeah. All good.
But are there any other upcoming projects or ventures you're excited about? Anything that you're working on that you can divulge? Because I know that there's things that guaranteed you're working on that you're not really, privy to telling
Yeah.
anyone.
And that's part of what really does suck about my job is that there are a few things I'd just fucking love to tell you right now that I'm like so excited about. But it's stuff that's been filmed months ago that still won't come out for a few months, and so it's like I would be killed if not killed, but they would get me if I said something. So I can't say anything about those. You're correct about that. But what I can say is that I am invested in a project that is involving, and this is separate. This is like a whole different thing that I'm doing outside of YouTube. I'm invested in working on it's almost like a nature sanctuary, but it's a public one, and it's a way that people can reconnect with nature and spirituality, and like kind of like a non-religious way, but like a way for people to connect with the earth and its surroundings in like a more accessible way. Because here's the thing, it's like and I feel like the world is moving towards this, by the way, because everything is so TikTok and AI and everything, blah blah blah. Like,
Hmm.
just going outside and like fucking looking at a squirrel without your phone is like fascinating to kids nowadays or anybody. Like, I mean, that you need to just kind of connect with the earth and the planet. And so, I'm working on a project right now which will help bring people closer to the environment. and get them closer to their own like human kind. It sounds really crazy, but think of like almost like a stayover resort, like almost like a Disneyland, but not as big yet. Think of like a very small Disneyland that is nature oriented that you can stay as long as you want. Like, you could rent it for a week, you could rent it for a day. And it's all just very, it's got like a bunch of activities that are good for like the mind and soul, that are like not digital. It's so crazy because I'm working in YouTube and like TikTok and all this stuff, but
No,
it's like what I'm passionate about is doing stuff like completely not even that,
no,
but
I love that.
yeah,
Honestly, I love that because there's part of me that wants to just like shut off social media and just like
yeah,
step away from it, put down the smartphone. And it sucks because the industry that I've chosen to follow a career path in is so heavily dependent on social media, on technology, on carrying my smartphone like an extra limb all over me.
yeah.
Um,
Just
and
bathing in 5G, both of us just soaking in it, and
exactly,
all
yeah,
everything, Wi-Fi. It's a lot
yeah,
of like static, a lot of stuff going in the air. It's just like it's not good for us.
yeah, no, and it's not good for your mental health. It's like mental health, like it crumbles because of these things. You don't have time for yourselves. You're so indulged in all these different platforms. If it's not one, it's another. Likes and comments and shares and retweets, all those just take up a portion of your like mind where you could be going ahead and focusing on you, or you could be focusing on your loved ones, or about feeling better in life, or pursuing your goals. And it kind of numbs you out at a certain point. And like I'm pretty sure that you've experienced that because you've worked in the industry a lot more like
Mm,
professionally than I have. But it like for me personally, it feels like it numbs me out sometimes where these things kind of like go gray in a sense. And
yeah,
like when you go camping or you go into nature, or just like me hanging out with like my dog and my fiance, and I'm able to reset, like
exactly.
personally
Yeah,
for me, I feel like I can breathe a little more or expand, like my lungs a little more. So I love that, man. I think
yeah. That's
that's
exactly what
awesome.
I'm saying. Because it's people like us that are just literally tapped in all the time. We need a real escape, but like one that is healthy for us. Like, if you and I were just like, hey, let's take a break from all this technology stuff and just go to a movie. Even that is like still like a thing. It's like
Hmm.
you really got to, if you're this invested in like tech and online and likes and comments and all this like online discourse, it's even more important for you to disconnect as like hard as possible. I'm talking like barefoot in the woods on a nice day kind of stuff.
Like
Like that kind of like,
in the rain, feeling the
yeah,
breeze, like that sounds amazing.
because you can't put a price on like your humanity and like how much you're like your spirit and everything that goes into like your consciousness. It's like, bro, it's like you can't get fulfilled spiritually. Like I don't care like how like pretty much from like any online stuff. Like yeah, you get a million views on a video. It's like fuck yeah, what are you gonna do? You're gonna go like eat a pizza and then like buy something. It's like it's still like it's all fake in a lot of ways. So it's good to have fun with it and enjoy it and get the money, but like, but yeah, at the end of the day, it's like you don't want to lose touch with like your humanity or like your purpose on like this planet, which is just like being a good person and connecting with everyone around you in like a really healthy way. So
No, very well said. Very well said.
yeah.
No, I completely agree. And I can't wait for you to like make that a reality. And I
Mhm.
know you said that's a venture right now, but
Yeah, I've been
that,
working for a few months on it, and I'll keep you updated. There's just nothing to show yet because it's so much work. Oh my god! But it's fun because it's outside of YouTube, and I know that when it's built and it's a thing that people can enjoy, that it's going to bring me a lot of peace, knowing that people can find their own peace, just experiencing something like that. Which is literally, it's pretty much the equivalent of just like going outside and touching grass. If people don't do that enough. You
you just
know,
started up now, and it's just like you taking someone on a bus to a forest, and it's like, hey, I'll pick you up in like 3 days, and just let them wander the
yeah.
forest a little bit.
Yeah, I'll give him a sack with some food and like a handgun and be like, all right, good luck, man. And just
Yeah,
like dip.
it's just uncooked potatoes though, and you're like, well, you gotta learn how to boil them. And here's a gun.
Right,
There's
right.
bears.
There's instructions at the bottom of the bag under the
Yeah.
potatoes.
But Joey, I'm so happy
Yeah,
that you agreed to come on.
yeah,
It was really awesome. And I really appreciate you taking the time to actually, sit down with me, answer my questions, talk to me about everything. Um,
yeah,
yeah, and guys, I really appreciate you guys tuning in to this episode. It means a lot. Every viewer, I love you guys, and I do what I do because I love it. I love speaking to people living vicariously through their experiences and stories. Like I said, the world's way too big to experience everything, but we can through others and through making those connections and bridging those gaps, you know, um, and never give up on something that you love and that you want to pursue, because at the end of the day, your fulfillment, your happiness, and your mental health is the most important thing to you. And that's the thing that you should value the most. No one path is going to get you there. There's going to be turns and there's going to be ups and downs and there's going to be hardships and you're going to want to quit more than once. But, I have faith in you and you're really going to make it. And I know you are. Just keep to it. And I appreciate you tuning in once again. Joey, once again, thank you so much. I'm going to be
yeah.
linking Joey's all his social medias, all his links down below, his Instagram, his YouTube channel, his Spotify. When he sends me his Spotify from back then, I don't care. We're gonna post it.
Oh
You
yeah,
know, we're gonna post it.
and I'll send you my YouTube jobs profile if ever anybody is actually interested in like working with me or hiring me to help with their YouTube channels as well. So that's kind of my day job, and I love doing that in general. So
Yeah, we're
like
gonna
I'll
post
put
that
that
as
there.
well. We're gonna
Yeah,
get him some new clients. I know I don't have that far of a reach at all. But
but if they're your fans, they're good people. So I'll take
I
them.
appreciate that. Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect. So, guys, once again, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Creators Anonymous. Peace.
Peace.